Now, welcome to our review of the new Netflix series Avatar: The Last Airbender, where we're going to start with some non-spoiler talk and then probably move into spoiler talk. So, give us your initial thoughts. We've watched the whole series now.
We did. We
Kind of
binged it.
sat down and watched the whole thing.
Because I was very excited to see this.
Yeah, and you haven't been feeling well, so
No.
sitting on the couch for a couple hours straight was not a problem you had.
No, not lately.
All right. Well, what did you think?
I will open up by saying I was really worried about this show because the day it came out, there were reviews posting all over like my homepage saying how bad the show was.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it a lot.
I haven't really seen any of the reviews, good or bad. I kind of ignored them.
I got those
entirely.
like homepage reviews. It's like, this is
Okay.
why you shouldn't watch it. These are the things wrong with the new show.
Like day one, like
Day
as soon as
one.
it's that's
Day
always
one.
nice when they do that, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And then all the comments that are like, did you watch the show?
I'm someone who I've seen the original
Yep.
once, and that was a few years ago. So it's not like a childhood attachment I have to it or anything like that. I saw it.
Not like me.
No, yeah, not like you. So I saw it a few years ago. Thought the cartoon was phenomenal. Like perhaps the best animated series I've ever seen in many respects. Just pure storytelling and everything else, character development. It is just great. So watching this, I thought it was really good.
It gave me a lot of feels, a lot of remembering from the original, and oh look, there's that, and oh look, here's this, and they mentioned that, and
Yeah.
that was fun. It was Easter eggs done right.
Yeah, as someone who doesn't, I don't remember every single episode and every single detail of the original. So, like, I don't know if there's, like, things that are missing, things that are changed so much. Like, a lot of it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember that. There was a lot of that. So I don't feel like I was, like, missing stuff so much. There were a
Right.
few things I'm like, well, I kind of skipped over that, or that's a little different. But not like, again, to me, that wasn't a huge deal.
Just like I know there was a big hubbub on the internet about the fact that they were going to tone down Sokka for being sexist.
I don't think
I'm
they
okay
needed.
with it.
I don't think they needed to do that, honestly.
I think there's one reason alone that they needed to do it. But
Needed.
we'll put that in the spoiler section.
It was one of those things where if I wouldn't have known about that, I might not have even noticed it or cared that much. But knowing it, I kind of paid attention, and I'm like, yeah, they don't really think they should have changed that. But we'll talk about that later, I guess.
Yeah. Well, overall, I definitely enjoyed the series. If you've never seen it before, I think it's a fun watch. It might come across a little jovial or
It's
goofy maybe at times. If you've not watched the original, you don't understand why I don't know. But it's cool because it feels like it's about kids.
Well, I think they've probably found themselves in this really hard corner of like, do we lean into this being a kids show or a kid, whatever you want to call it, because it was animated, it was obviously intended for younger audiences back in the day, or do we realize those people who watched this thing 20 years ago are now adults and they're watching it and wanting to kind of maybe have a little more adult feel to it, yet at the same time, a lot of those people might be showing it to their kids now. So you're in this really weird boat with something like this, where it's like, do we lean more adult? Do we kind of try to keep that childish air to it?
But I think they hit it nail on the head. This is how you do a show that has adults in it and has children in it.
Who are your main characters?
Yes.
I mean, virtually every main character
The
is
children
a child.
behaving like children makes sense. They shouldn't always behave like adults. They should behave like children who have responsibility shouldered onto them and are trying to do the right thing, but you have to keep in mind, they are still kids.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, pretty much all the characters, other than a few,
Yeah.
are children.
These remind me of like family films from when I was a child. Like when the first Jurassic Park came out, it was like a family type movie where adults
really?
are. I think so. I watched it with my family.
Well, sure, I've watched with my family. I don't know that I think of it as a family movie.
Well, think of it this way: the kids in it acted like kids, and they were in there to entertain kids,
Well, sure.
and it works. The adults were in there doing adult things and keeping the adult themes alive that maybe
I guess,
kids don't
yeah.
fully understand, which I think this does well to make this something you can easily watch with children, and they'll enjoy laughing at the funny moments and getting it. And some of the older, more adult type themes that are poached in there might go a little over their head, but they're still explained well enough that a child will understand.
Okay.
I think they balanced it well.
I'm not sure I agree that they balance. I think it leaned more childish, definitely.
Maybe.
And not saying that's a bad or a good thing. I just certainly think they lean that way, and yet at the same time, it doesn't quite have that same air or feel that the original does.
So yeah.
Certainly, that was more lighthearted at times, a lot more comical. And again, I don't know if that's good or bad that you left that out of this, because sometimes kind of going too comical in live action just is bad.
Doesn't work, yeah.
Doesn't work at all. So, again, I think they found themselves in a really tough situation trying to figure out exactly what kind of tone you're going for, what kind of audience you're looking for. So, I think they did all right for the most part.
Yeah. So overall, I enjoyed it. Had a great time watching it.
There were some pacing issues, too. There were a couple episodes where I'm like, oof, this is kind of...
Slower, yeah.
This is slower. I thought there were some acting issues as well. I don't think all the acting was on point. Some performances...
Mostly with the children actors.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much with all the... Not with all the children actors,
but
Sokka
and the Zuko, I think, were always on point.
Zuko did really well, yeah. I thought Zuko did great.
I thought Sokka did pretty well.
Yeah.
My main problems, unfortunately, were with Katara and Aang.
Katara definitely was,
She had trouble conveying the actual emotion in her voice.
Yeah, you could always kind of just tell she's delivering lines and not really. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, again, I'm trying to be forgiving because they are younger actors, too. So.
Yeah, they're learning.
Yeah.
We give them a pass.
Yeah, you could tell some of them were definitely less experienced, or just, have more... movies and shows ahead of them to get better. But I definitely think some performances were certainly weaker than others.
I think this show should have come out weekly. I really think, honestly, not just because I prefer weekly over having to binge so that I don't get spoilers, but I think this one would have benefited greatly from weekly because you would have gotten all the diehard, Avatar fans comparing episode to episode, getting to really delve into the differences between the series and really... extending the experience of watching this. I think that could have been really fun.
I think it's always better to go week to week because it
Unless
allows
your show's not great.
well, sure, but it does allow your fan base to kind of experience it more and together too. Because now, I know a lot of people who are, I'm going to watch that maybe this weekend, and well, I've not watched the whole damn thing.
Instead of getting to talk to my friends about this one episode at a time, theorizing, talking about changes, talking about what we liked, what we didn't like, it's just going to be an overall. Hey, did you like it? Yeah, no, oh, okay, let's keep. It's one conversation instead of what could have been 8 conversations.
What did you think visually, both in terms of special effects and how it captures the world?
I liked the world. I thought it was very well detailed.
I thought so too, yeah.
Really well detailed. It had a lot of the things that I remember from the show. The special effects could have been a little bit better at times. There were just a few CGI issues when they had to CGI the actual characters for a move.
Well, yeah.
But overall, I liked how things flow. The bending looked really good, in my opinion.
I thought the bending was good, yeah.
They could have maybe not made... is it a spoiler? I can't say that. Never mind.
What?
They should have made Aang fly in the first episode, because...
Oh, I don't think that's much of a spoiler.
Flying around without his glider, because Airbenders really don't fly.
But he's the Avatar.
That's the only allowance I give that.
Okay.
Is because he's the Avatar. Just like when the Firebenders flew around a little bit, I was like, well, it's Sozin's Comet Day, okay?
Yeah. I mean, for me, the CGI is fine, because this is probably 6 hours, the show is. I mean, that's... To get this thing to look perfect is going to cost you. Well, I think every episode's clocking around 40, 45 minutes. I mean, some are a little longer, some are a little shorter. But I mean, you're going to there's just no way you're going to make this thing look movie quality for that long. That's just going to cost way too much money. So I do kind of forgive that. I think it looked great. There's nothing in there that was like, oh, that looked just so bad it takes me out of it. So I'm fine with little things here and there not looking perfect, to be honest with you.
Okay.
All right, I guess we can... dive into the spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, this is the time to click away.
All right, here we are in the spoilers section. First thing I want to talk about is the addition of new scenes that were not in the animation.
Okay.
I was going to call it anime for a second.
It's kind of anime-ish, isn't it?
I actually really liked the opening. It was brand new, it was exciting, where we got to see the day of Sozin's Comet. We got to see the attack on the air temple. Thanks, Kylo. The attack on the air temple. I liked that. I liked that we got to see things.
I think that's better for new viewers because it's kind of a big action set piece for one. For two, you immediately get a sense of the time has gone by as well. You're not it just kind of sets you up better than I think kind of throwing you right in with, hey, here's Aang and he's going to be this avatar and all that.
There were other additional live action scenes they added. We got to see and maybe I just don't remember this. We got to see the funeral of Uncle Iroh's son.
Yeah, I thought that was good. Yeah,
it was beautifully done. We saw a lot of extra training scenes with Azula, and Azula doesn't really make an appearance in season 1.
Do you think that was a good addition?
We got to. I thought it was good to kind of get her set up.
I think
to start bringing her in because she's a major player going forward and kind of seeing how Iroh treats his family.
Yeah, I think that's why it works. Yeah, not Iroh.
Yeah, sorry, how the Fire Lord.
We know how Iroh treats his family,
like,
and it's well.
Gold.
Yes. But no, I think it makes sense because then you can kind of see that you can contrast it against how Zuko gets treated and what kind of happens to him, and how she gets treated and what happens. So you get to kind of parallel their stories as just seeing the flashbacks.
So
with Zuko.
what I see is that our Fire Lord's a deadbeat dad.
He's not the best father.
Oh, he's a perfectionist.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and where he couldn't beat the compassion out of Zuko, he did manage to beat it out of Azula.
Yes.
If she had any in the first place. Because,
I don't really,
I mean, come on. She's like watching, like Uncle Iroh looks away. Oh my gosh, my nephew's getting burnt in the face by his father. And she's like,
yeah, burn him more.
You see a little like tweak, like she's about to smile. Yeah. I'm like, something's not quite right with this girl.
Yeah.
And I don't have sympathy for her totally because she is a bad guy. She chose this path. Zuko and her were raised the same.
Sure.
I mean, I do feel a little sympathy for her because her dad is kind of a D-bag and all. But I don't think she's set up to be like totally sympathetic. Like, oh, her dad was mean to her and challenged her. Well, of course her dad challenged her. Her dad challenged Zuko. Yeah. But they turned out to be entirely different people because of the deep down character they have. That's what I'll say about that.
No, I tend to agree with that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was also really worried about Sokka's character because they had held those interviews came out that said we toned down Sokka.
His sexism, yeah.
Yeah, I was very concerned, but the spirit of Sokka was still there. He delivered the funny, witty lines that I really liked.
Yeah.
While he didn't overtly come out and be like, "Oh, you're a woman, so this is your role." I'm almost surprised he didn't, seeing as when they went to the Northern Water Tribe, they were like, "Nah, women do the healing. You guys don't fight." So I'm like, maybe Sokka should have been a little bit more sexist.
No, I think it would have been fine. It would have fit in with the Northern Water Tribe, right? They were like straight up like, no, women don't fight.
But at the same time, all the men went to war. Sokka stayed behind. He was raised in a very balanced tribe with a lot of women. So maybe it makes sense.
He was the leader of that tribe.
He was the leader of a lot of women and some men, and the ones who were too young to fight and the ones too old.
I don't know.
So I'm not terribly surprised that he's maybe not super sexist. I think it's almost good to tone it down. If this would have been a week by week, I would have said leave Sokka sexist. But because of the fact that they want you to binge this whole thing, if we would have had sexist Sokka at the beginning, sexist Pakku later, I would have been like, this feels woke.
You think so? Why would it?
I don't know. It would have felt woke if they would have shoved it down my face twice in succession like that. Instead, by only having one of them, it doesn't feel... Because people jump on everything and call it woke, and I don't feel like this was woke at all. This is just following the source material. But I think it would have been called more woke
I think the original
had they popped it in there twice.
Original would probably be called woke to some degree today because you would have Sokka who, was getting beat up by girls and
19 years ago, woke.
Nobody would have had a problem with it back then as far as I know. But nowadays, I think people are, of course, Sokka just loses to the girls and needs to learn a lesson from them.
And actually, Katara got beat a couple of times too.
Well, no, but my point is they actually tone that down, which is kind of weird because... it really wasn't about him losing to a girl anymore like it was in the original. Right.
It was just about him not being the warrior he wants to be.
Yeah. I mean, him and the Suki thing was kind of totally different than the original because it did take that element of, gender out of it. Yeah. Which was originally there.
Yeah. But I really liked the Kyoshi warriors. The aesthetic was great. I loved their combat with the fans, how it integrated really well against fire.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, other than it feeling really different, I thought it was fine. I don't really have any problems with any of the choices they made per se. Like I said, I think my big problems come with some of the acting, some of the pacing, but the decisions for the story itself, more or less, what they did again from someone who doesn't crystal clear memory of the original.
Right. Kind of made me want to go back and rewatch the first season and see what I kind of missed.
Yeah, that would be interesting to watch.
Or now watch the rest of it to see, to remember for myself where it goes along the way.
I mean, I remember thinking the first season was the weakest of the seasons too. So
yeah, it's only going to get better from here. So buckle up.
That's the thing. I like the first season. I enjoyed it, but I'm it was the second and third season were wow, this is phenomenal. What the heck?
Oh, and if you're from our Discord, definitely watch Legend of Korra season 2. Seriously, it's the best Avatar you're ever gonna get.
It is. It is the best. I've been told. I have not seen The Legend of Korra, but yes, I'm told season 2 in particular is
the best
the
ever.
bestest thing
bestest.
ever. Yes, and we're being very sarcastic.
Yes.
This goes back to a chat we had the other
I'm
night.
looking forward to when season 2 comes. I mean, I really want them to not get deterred by any sort of crazy reviews out there, to power through, make all 3 books.
I have to
Give us
imagine
the
they're pretty
entire
much committed
thing.
to that, right?
Well, they gotta go fast because the actor who plays Aang might get taller, and
Yeah, I think that's that's funny. I was like thinking the whole time I'm watching this, like if this takes like 4 or 5 years, like Aang's gonna be like 17. It's like he's gonna be taller than everybody
I'd
else.
like to think that they're already working on the next season.
That's what I'm saying. Like you have to commit to this because it's not like, well, I mean, it's kind of like Stranger Things, like where all they're supposed to be like high schoolers and they look like in their 30s at the final seasons here, but. You have to, because you do want to keep that aesthetic of Aang being that 12-year-old boy, right?
Yeah, 12, 13, yeah.
Yeah, that really awkward time in your life, and now you have to be the Avatar, and you're grappling with all these very adult issues. So
he needs to start flirting with Katara a bit more too.
Yeah, they didn't go into that at all.
Go to that.
Like, I mean, yes,
here's a little thing for her.
Yeah, not at all did we see that in this season or in this show, I should say. I mean, that's a big plot point. I feel like in the series too. Like it's a big thing.
But I'm looking forward to so many things we could see in season 2, especially like the introduction of Toph.
Yeah, very curious to see how that goes.
Yes, the blind earthbender.
Yeah, I remember quite well. Yes.
Yes.
Like I said, I enjoyed season 2 and 3 more than 1. So
it's only gonna get better, folks.
Yeah, I think it's good. I don't know. I have not seen the reviews. You told me before we started up that some people have had some props with some things. I'm like, I get it. They would teach their own, right? I don't.
It's those silly articles you pull up and they're like, here's like a Yahoo review. Here's a review from so-and-so. And they're like, this is bad. I'm like, did you watch it? I mean, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's bad. It might just mean it's not meant for you.
I think the problem is like today, like reviews are either glowing reviews or negative reviews. There's no like, subtle nuance. Like there's some good, there's some bad. You got to go all in on one or the other to get the clicks and the views, which is what most people are after. That's the big problem with it, right?
Like people seem to forget, like, if we watch the Fast and Furious movies, you might love them and I'm going to hate it. Why? Because I hate car chases.
Well, they don't. It's not really. It's racing. It's not chasing. I mean, there's some chases in there too.
No, the car. I'm done.
I don't know. I kind of checked out at like.
I think it's because my dad used to watch IndyCar racing. The Indy 500.
Yeah.
And it was so boring, and we had one TV. It was so boring. This is why I'm probably the reader.
Because you either that or watching IndyCar racing.
Yeah. I can't watch car chases. I can't watch racing.
Every time a car chase comes on, you complain.
I blank out. I'm like, this is unrealistic. I'm done.
Yes, well, a lot of things in movies are unrealistic, not just car chases. But
car chases in particular, I just don't like.
Well, I think we've come to the hammer scale time because now we're getting off topic.
Hammer!
I'm going to let you go first this time because I always go first. Yeah, you got to go first this time.
All right.
I think I got a number in mind.
I'm going with a 9.
Wow.
I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
The callbacks using the original score. The original score. All of the notes were there. The music was fantastic. The visuals were good. The bending looked good. Small critique, the actors could use a little polishing.
Yeah, maybe that gets better as the season's
there's a few little polishing points.
More than a few, but yeah.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed just checking out of being an adult and watching this through my childhood lens. It was great.
Enough. Yeah. Considering they got Uncle Iroh, like he was the best character like in the history of life.
Carson Ivo.
Yeah, Carson Teva.
Carson Iroh.
Okay,
there you
I see what you're going.
There you go.
Considering they got my favorite character right, I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8.
So we both enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
Even though we had to binge.
That was fine binging. We usually don't because
I don't
have the time for 1 and 2. I tend to like to breathe a little in between episodes.
Well, then we could discuss and chat about it and really go in depth on stuff. Instead, it's like now I'll have to binge the whole thing again to really set it in.
Well, that's the problem. Like we just watched all these hours of it, and I'm like, there's things along the way that I feel like I wanted to talk about, but Kyla wants to talk about them. Our cat has come for a visit. He sat there and watched a good chunk of it too.
Not enough.
Oh. Anyway, I think that is going to be all we got for you this time. So now it is your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Have you enjoyed it? Do you want a season 2? Or maybe you don't. Whatever the case may be, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Avatar. And until next time, thanks for watching.